This is Golden Years, a roadmap to navigate retirement with Mark Cordner, the podcast.
I feel like we just started this NFL season, and already several head coaches are in the hot seat and in danger of losing their jobs. It usually comes down to a few reasons here. Number one, a poor start to the season after high expectations. Kind of makes sense. Number two, a consistent losing record. Yeah, you're not looking too good there. And the last one here, it's been too long since a playoff appearance. Yikes. Okay, so when it comes to planning your retirement, your financial advisor is basically your coach, right, Mark?
Yeah. Oh, amen. That's a great analogy. It's a great analogy. We're very much coaches because life's not about money, and in my opinion, retirement's really not about money. Money is just fuel. It's what helps us have the experiences that we want to have. So, yeah, we absolutely need to analyze, do we have the right kind of fuel? Do we have enough fuel? Are we working efficiently? But at the end of the day, you've got to have a coach helping you. I've had a number of business coaches in my career, and, my wife sometimes looked at me a little sideways like, why are you spending all that money on that? But I always have come out ahead as a result of having experienced, educated perspectives beyond my own. We don't know what we don't know. And so coaches are a wonderful thing. And in most every aspect of my life, I have a coach, and they're well worth the money. Sometimes people don't really see their financial advisors like that. I mean, sometimes people are hesitant to come in and speak to their advisor or to call them. And I think that's unfortunate because if you're intimidated or you don't feel like there's value from the conversation with your advisor, or maybe you don't feel like they're listening, maybe they're just always giving you the same advice and it's not adapting to the different seasons of your life or the different challenges that you have, those are probably good red flags that, like these coaches, it may be time to put them in the hot seat, maybe look at getting someone different or new. I'm dealing with this right now in my personal life, with my medical situation. I had to, some people know I about died from long COVID. I had a very bad experience with long COVID. I will live with the effects of it for the rest of my life. I'm going on almost 4 years now of difficulty with it. But there was a period where my family didn't expect me to survive 2023, and I had to actually change medical doctors because my general practitioner was a wonderful guy. I mean, it's a wonderful, wonderful guy, but he just kept thinking I was cheating on my diabetes stuff, and he wasn't hearing what I was really experiencing. And so I ended up having to replace him, get a new general practitioner. I'm now in the process of actually replacing my endocrinologist because it's the same thing. The effects of the long COVID altered my body in ways that none of us fully understand. But the default position was, Mark's cheating or Mark's doing this or that. They weren't hearing that I was actually far better in my regimen than what they were thinking. And so it just got where I, would put off making appointments with the doctor. I didn't want to go in and be browbeat over things that I knew were false. And so I've had to make changes. It's the same thing in our financial lives. So many financial advisors, quote unquote, or wealth managers, as I guess they often call themselves now, they're all focused on how do we get you 1 or 2% greater rate of return. They're not looking at how to keep that money, how to protect it from taxes, how to protect it from health care costs, for example, how to protect it from inflation. Their sole focus is on how do we get you a greater rate of return. And I would say that's absolutely the wrong conversation to have when it comes to the income or distribution phase of life. As we grow our money, they call that the accumulation phase, kind of like climbing a mountain. But the fatalities, as we all know, are on the downside, coming down the mountain. That's where the risks are. And that's where the income planners, the true retirement planners like myself, are focused on the risk inherent to that second phase of life. And so sometimes we have to make a change to the coach or the financial advisor that we have just to protect ourselves properly and achieve our goals. So that's a great analogy. I'm glad you brought that up.
Absolutely. That's why I'm here. That's why they pay me the big bucks, Mark. Well, listen, again, if any of this is resonating with you and you're thinking, man, I need more information about this, or I've been putting off planning for retirement for so long, this is going to be the time. This is going to be the year. And guys, there's no better time than right now to do a little end of year checklist as well. See if you have all your ducks in a row. See again if you could take advantage of some of these opportunities out there, guaranteed income, maybe some protection in the market. Again, give a call, 702-996-4050, 702-996-4050. My Golden Years goldenyearsroadmap.com. You can always get more details or fill out that little form right there halfway on the page, and we will get back to you as soon as possible. Again, mygoldenyearsroadmap.com. People are always asking, where should I put my money? It's kind of like asking, what are the winning lottery tickets, right? But an article in Wealthopedia doesn't answer that, but it does tell you where to not put your money in retirement. Let's take a look at this list here that I gave you here, Mark, and I want you to go through and do you agree or disagree? What are your thoughts?
Well, you've listed a number of things here. I mean, it shows variable annuities, whole life insurance, target date funds, stable value funds, mutual funds with loads. I mean, there's a lot of areas here, and certainly some of those are things we don't particularly work with. But the one caution I would give people is that remember that financial vehicles products, we often call them vehicles, are just like the vehicles that occupy the roads out here. I mean, I'm looking out the window right now and I see a number of different vehicles here. There's a pickup, there's a sedan, there's an SUV out here. All of these vehicles were designed for different purposes. If I said a pickup truck is bad, the construction guys are going to tell me that I'm an idiot. If I said that a van is bad, well, the young moms are going to say, well, they're great for hauling my kids around, just as they were for me in an earlier season of my life. So the caution I would give people with this analogy is, remember that every financial vehicle, just like every tool that a general contractor would have in his belt, was designed for a different reason. And just because it may not be good for you doesn't mean that it's not good at all for anyone. And so the tool depends upon the job. If I want to create a hole, a drill is uniquely good at that. I don't want to use a saw to create a hole. A drill is really good at doing that. And so I would say that people need to work with advisors who can have a fair perspective on all of those tools and be able to offer them more than just one type of thing. If you find a financial advisor pushing one particular product, then they're really not an advisor. They're a salesperson. I think a true financial advisor is more like a travel agent who first identifies what's the end goal? What do you want to experience in this journey? And then the second step is to decide the actual path to get you to your dream destination. The very last thing you consider is what kind of vehicle, boat, car, plane, for example, is going to be appropriate. And so I hesitate a little bit to say that any of these are bad. I certainly think each of them has their pros and cons. And at the end of the day, it differs for each person. We've got to take people on a one-by-one basis and work with them. We've got to really, really listen as to what is their objective and then offer that tool that's going to be best for them, even if it means sending them to a different company, different advisor. We do that on occasion because I can't be all things to all people. We're exceptionally good at what we do with income planning, creating income people can't outlive, protecting them from healthcare problems and the like. I'm not good at, for example, helping people gamble with their money. If they want that, we can send them off to a stockbroker or something. So again, it goes back to the financial vehicle or the tool, whatever you want to call it. Each was designed for a different reason, and let's not blanket right off things just because they may not, at first glance, appear to be good for us. Or just may not fit our situation.
And again, it's all about having that retirement vehicle, right? Using those tools and those opportunities. And again, if you are asking yourself, I don't know where to put my money, I don't know how to make this grow, I don't know how to do any of this, now is the time to come in and sit down with Mark one-on-one. You're going to hear about some good guaranteed income opportunities. Of course, you're going to talk about taxes, I'm sure, somewhere in there, 401k selections, you name it. Again, come in for this income review, 702-996-4050. 702-996-4050. And again, that website, mygoldenyearsroadmap.com. Mark, are you a big fan of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson?
Oh, heavens, yes. That guy, particularly when he was with Kevin Hart. Oh, my heavens.
Oh, my gosh,
just
yes.
Crack me up.
Those two together, they don't even need a script. Just start rolling and they'll go after it. I mean, you might know him from his wrestling days. He made his way into movies. He's done really big projects. He's always like the big, buff, tough guy, right? Maybe sometimes even the bad guy in the films. Super great guy. Love Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. He's actually starring in a new movie called The Smashing Machine. It's a biopic about former MMA fighter Mark Kerr. And it marks a big change for Johnson because it's a dramatic role, okay? So he tells CBS Sunday Morning that he got pushback on the idea even from his own people.
Staying in my lane and staying in my comfort zone means their comfort too. Dwayne, what are you getting ready to do? Does that equate to box office? Does it equate to that? It's human nature. Change and any kind of disruption is scary to people, but that's what you got to do. And I know that in my world, I need people's opinions, those who I trust. I need their insight, but ultimately, I'm going to make the call, and this is the direction I'm going to go in.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you just got to mix it up, right? You got to make a change there.
Yeah, but
cool.
It's so indicative of how we have to think differently as we approach retirement. I mean, which again, my world, but I can't take one approach with every client, and clients can't all take the same approach. I love the courage that he's exhibiting there of going out on a limb and trying something new and different. I have this conversation often with clients who are often burnt out in their current careers and they need a change. And so we need to talk about maybe a sabbatical. They take a break from work, or maybe they transition into a different kind of work. Or maybe we have to think about using financial vehicles, tools that they're not familiar with. And so there's a lot of courage there, a lot of self-knowledge that he's expressing there about what he's capable of going through. And I love the fact that he references that he has advisors there to help him. People who have experience and education that he doesn't have, they can give him a perspective. But just as with our clients, the client has to make the choice. And in this case, it sounds like he's making a great choice. I'm curious to see this film, see what he does with it. So, but I hope the same thing with our clients. We're there as a coach for them. We want to show them things that we've learned from dealing with hundreds, if not thousands, of people over the last 3+ decades. There's things that we know that we can help people with, but at the end of the day, they've got to make their own decisions, and they've got to live with the decisions that they make, and that's where we get the satisfaction in life. That people have achieved what they have achieved on their own. So.
Exactly.
Great advice.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, I think sometimes change is inevitable and it's good for you. And, sometimes clients, they want to come in, they want to make big change in their retirement plan. And I want to know, do you think this is something that we should be doing? Do we kind of look into it? Because at the end of the day, you retire from that busy, crazy 9 to 5. All of a sudden, every day is Saturday. It can be overwhelming even. So what do you think when it comes to being emotionally, mentally, and even financially prepared to enter retirement?
Yeah, those are exactly the questions that we're asking. And that's, again, it always boils down to those conversations. Are you having the one-on-one conversation? Are you not giving boilerplate answers? Are you hearing people's concerns? So, yeah, I love that. It's a process. There's no one right answer for everyone. But I really, really, really hope that people will call. I love the fact that people look at me as a sounding board. They come across a new idea. I get articles and YouTube clips and stuff all the time from clients. Some of them are a little silly, but you've got to see where people are coming from. There's something about what they've shared with me that has triggered something in them, and I have to look beyond perhaps the obvious YouTube clip to what their real concern is. And so, it's wonderful when they'll include me like that. Sometimes it's a simple answer. Sometimes I've got to do some research myself. But I so appreciate that it's a collaborative process. We're working together. If you don't have that kind of advisory relationship in your life, come visit with us. Come see what you don't know and see if there's a place for advisors like us in your life, because we're definitely be able to help people achieve their dreams and bring a whole lot of efficiencies that they're typically not aware of.
Again, yes, that phone number, 702-996-4050, 702-996-4050. Again, this is your opportunity to call and set up a time with Mark to sit down one-on-one, or listen, if you're busy, if you travel, what have you, a phone call's better. We'll set that up for you as well. 702-996-4050. Even Hollywood stars have money troubles. What I mean by that is Mr. Kevin Costner. Oh, my gosh, guys. Bodyguard. What is he? Yellowstone. I mean, he's been some big films, TV shows, all that kind of stuff. He recently told The Tonight Show's Jimmy Fallon that he's still dealing with the fallout over his box office flop, Horizon, The American Sava. And, of course, residuals checks from these older films haven't exactly helped yet.
This is money that comes to you over the years. These movies, I thought were going to pay for this movie. The Bodyguard, 31 cents. JFK, 94 cents. Night Shift,
this is real.
9 cents. Yeah, it's No Way Out, 71 cents. Perfect World, I got $1.35.
Whoa!
Revenge, $1.22. $6.46 for Robin Hood. Untouchables, 67 cents. The War, 34. Waterworld, 87. That's paying for itself.
Oh, my gosh.
And my accountant had the nerve to say, this check was deposited into your management account, $15.38.
Wow. Oh, my gosh. We'll talk about some unpredictable income there. If someone entering retirement wants more predictable income sources, what do you suggest?
The more sources of income, the better. I mean, I've literally got a check for 3 cents once from an institution for past work I did. So I love the idea of residual income. All of us should have some type of residual income. That's the passive kind of income that gives us security in life. But, yeah, we can't always plan on past choices carrying us. And Kevin, I love his work. It's interesting that, there was a lot of chatter back going through his divorce about how he had invested so much of his personal money in that Horizon, American Saga film, which I love Westerns, but it was a little disappointing, a little different. But bottom line,
wasn't a favorite,
he lost a lot of his personal money, and frankly, some would say he lost his marriage through that process, and partly because of all that. And so, yeah, we do need advisors in our life to sometimes talk us off the edge and help us get perspective on things. I don't want to judge anything he did or didn't do. I'm certainly not perfect, so I'm not going to throw stones at anyone. But I would say, yes, residual income's wonderful. The more sources of income we have, the better. They need to be coordinated, especially from a tax standpoint, and we always need to be looking at new opportunities. And so that's where the advisors come into play. I'm glad he had an advisor. He told me he had a $15 check. That may have been a wake-up call to him. So as disappointing as it may have been to hear that number, it was still a wake-up call for him.
Investment advisory services offered through Golden Years Financial LLC, a registered investment advisory firm. Insurance is offered through Golden Years Insurance Services. These firms do not provide legal or tax advice. Consult your own legal and tax advisors before taking actions that may have tax implications. Investing in securities involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Insurance contracts principal protection is based on the claim-paying ability of the respective insurer. None of the information contained on this website shall constitute an offer to sell or solicit to buy a security or insurance product. The information and opinions contained on this site or requested from this site are provided by third parties believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed. They are provided for informational purposes only and are not a solicitation to buy or sell any of the products mentioned. Any media logos and or trademarks contained herein are the property of their respective owners, and no endorsement by those owners of Mark Cordner, Golden Years Financial, or Golden Years Insurance is stated or implied.